I was only passing by when I decided to drop in, but what I overheard from my unfaithful wife as she stepped out covered in a towel left me utterly speechless. In that minute, I knew the revenge I was about to unleash would be swift, cruel, and beyond her wildest imagination. She had no idea what was coming. The day had began like any other. I left work earlier than usual, my mind preoccupied with the high-stakes merger I was handling as I drove past our townhouse on my way to the gym. Something made me stop. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fate. I parked outside, noticing that my wife Isabel's car was in the driveway. Strange. She had told me she had a late meeting and wouldn't be home until much later. A shiver ran down my spine, but I brushed it off. You're overthinking, Adrian. Yet a nagging feeling told me otherwise. Moving cautiously, I unlocked the front door as quietly as possible. The house was eerily silent, except for the faint sound of water running in the upstairs. Bathroom. Then I heard a man's voice that was amazing. He chuckled. I can't believe you're actually pulling this off. I froze a second later. Isabel responded with a breathy laugh. Oh, Adrian has no clue. He's so easy to fool, she said smugly. He thinks I'm working late today. We have all the time in the world. Silence followed, then the unmistakable sound of a kiss. My fingers tightened around the staircase railing, my knuckles turning white. My entire body felt numb as my mind raced at 1. MPH, she was betraying me right now in our home, in our bed. I should have charged upstairs. I should have kicked the door open, dragged the bastard out, and demanded an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I took a slow, deep breath and stepped back into the shadows because in that moment, I realized this wasn't going to end in a heated argument. It was going to end in revenge. And I would make sure it was swift, ruthless, and devastatingly thorough. I turned around, walked out of the house, and got into my car. But I wasn't consumed by anger or heartbreak. No, I was calculating my marriage was over. I accepted that, but I wasn't about to slink away like some broken, betrayed husband. Isabel had made a terrible mistake. She had underestimated me. And now I was going to teach her why that would be the worst mistake of her life. I pulled out my phone and called Luca, my best friend, a man with an exceptional talent for digital security. Luca, I said, my voice yawning calm. I need you to do something for me. There was a pause, then in a cautious tone he asked Adrian, what's going on? My wife is cheating on me, I stated. Honestly, I need proof. Everything's silence. Then eventually I'm on it. Within 48 hours. Luca had done what he did best. Not only did he collect every text call log and hotel booking Isabel had made with her lover, but he also hacked into our home security system and pulled footage of them together there. It was undeniable proof. That's when I set my plan into motion. A simple divorce would be too easy. I wasn't simply going to walk away. No, I was going to make sure she lost everything, her reputation, her sense of security, and most importantly, her pride. Step 1 was psychological for the next few days. I acted completely normal. I kissed her on the forehead in the mornings. I asked about her day, played the role of the loving husband, and even brought her coffee in bed, all while secretly orchestrating her downfall. She had no clue that every affectionate gesture was just another step in my carefully laid trap to set the stage for my revenge. I prepared a beautiful deceit, a romantic weekend getaway to an extravagant villa just outside the city, a destination we had always dreamed of visiting. Oh my God. Adrian, she gasped, her eyes lighting up with excitement as she played the role of the devoted wife. You're incredible. I smiled warmly. Anything for you, my love. She had no idea that while she was excitedly packing for our trip, I was already finalizing her downfall. She had no idea that the next time she set foot in our home, she would no longer have a place there. She was blissfully unaware that soon she would be broke, humiliated, and completely ruined. And the best part, the real revenge hadn't even begun on the morning of our supposed trip. I told her I had a few work matters to handle and would meet her. At the villa later, she left first, completely unaware of what was unfolding behind her, the moment she was out of sight. I set my plan into motion. I called my lawyer and finalized the divorce paperwork. I stopped all our joint accounts, denying off her access to any money. Then I forwarded every piece of proof, her communications, her secret rendezvous, every detail of her betrayal to her family, her friends, and even her job. The flawless image she had spent years crafting shattered in an instant, and yet the masterpiece of my revenge was still waiting for her. When Isabel arrived at the villa, she was greeted by a beautifully arranged table, a chilled bottle of champagne, and an elegant folder. Confused, she opened it expecting a love note or an itinerary for the weekend. Instead, she found printouts of her text messages with her lover's surveillance photos, and a copy of the divorce papers on top of the folder lay a handwritten note I was just passing by and thought I'd drop in. But what I overheard changed everything. You never saw this coming. Consider this my parting gift. I wish I could have seen the expression on her face, but I had no interest in witnessing her meltdown. I never even showed up at the villa. I never called. I simply turned off my phone and let her sit there alone, overwhelmed, forced to stare at the undeniable proof of her own betrayal, the messages, the photos, the receipts, everything laid bare like the autopsy of our marriage, and yet she still didn't realize the full extent of what was happening while she sat there in stunned silence trying to figure out what to do next. I was executing the final phase of my plan. I made sure the truth reached everyone who mattered. I sent copies of the evidence to her boss, a high-ranking executive in the finance industry, ensuring she had more than just a marriage to lose. I forwarded everything to her parents, the ones who had always believed their daughter was perfect. I even sent it to her closest friends, the ones who always told me you're so lucky to have Isabel within hours. The phone call started. I ignored them all. Her world was crumbling, and I was only getting started that evening after hours of silence. I finally turned my phone back on the first text. The first message I saw was from Isabel Adrian. Please, we need to talk, Isabel. I don't know what's going on. My bank cards aren't working. Did you do something, Isabel? Why is my mom calling me in tears? Adrian, what have you done? I smirked and sent a single reply. Me, you'll find out soon enough. Then I blocked her when Isabel finally drove back home, probably thinking she could somehow smooth things over. She was met with a sight she never expected: her suitcases. Sitting on the front yard next to them stood a moving truck, ready to take away what little she had left. And standing in front of the home, looking at her with complete disappointment, were her parents. Panic flashed across her face as she rushed toward them. What's going on? She demanded. Her mother shook her head, eyes glistening with unshed tears. We saw everything, Isabel. Her father's face was carved in pure disgust. You're no daughter of mine, he spat. You had a good husband, a good home, a life people dream of. And you threw it all away for what? He waved his hand in frustration. So meaningless, tears streamed down her face. Dad, please. He cut her off. Adrian sent us everything. Do you have any clue how ashamed we are? She turned. To me, then, fury flaring behind her tear-filled eyes. You did this. I folded my arms, resting nonchalantly against my car. No, Isabel, you did this. I just made sure you pay for it. Her gaze darted to the house. Desperate now, you can't kick me out. This is my home, too. I let out a slow smirk. Not anymore. She blinked, confusion turning into dread. What I sighed as if explaining something simple. I had the house transferred to my name weeks ago, I said smoothly. You weren't paying attention. Just like you weren't paying attention when I drained our joint accounts. Her hands flew to her mouth in astonishment. You can't do this to me. I shrugged. Oh, but I already did. And that wasn't the end of it. Her job was gone. Her boss wasn't. Exactly thrilled about hiring someone whose personal life had become a public scandal, turns out high-ranking executives don't appreciate that kind of drama. Her friends vanished. Turns out they had been my friends all along, and the guy she threw everything away for the moment. She lost her comfort, her security, her status. He disappeared too, ghosted her completely. 3 days later, she sent me one last text. Isabel, I have nowhere to go. Please, I made a mistake. I miss you. We can solve this. I didn't reply because in that moment I knew she finally understood she had been so sure. So certain that no matter what, I would always be there, that I would forgive her, that I would take her back, but now she had nothing and I was finally free. 2 weeks later, I sat in my new office promotion, secured a new city waiting to be explored and a fresh start ahead. I had walked away from everything connected to Isabel, and I had never felt better then. As I was scrolling through social media, something caught my eye. A photo of Isabel sitting alone in a rundown cafe, looking exhausted, defeated, and utterly broken. The caption. Some mistakes can never be undone. Damn right. I leaned back in my chair, a satisfied smirk tugging at my lips. Revenge is best served cold, and Isabel, she was frozen solid. Because cheating isn't just about betraying love, it's about betraying trust, dignity, and the belief that someone will always be there for you. But when the person you betrayed turns around and walks away without a second glance, that's the moment you realize you've lost everything.